Wadsworth, am I right in thinking there is nobody else in this house?
No.
Then there is someone else in this house.
No, sorry. I said no, meaning yes.
No meaning yes? Look, I want a straight answer. Is there someone else or isn't there? Yes or no?
No.
No, there is or no, there isn't?
Yes.
Please!
Hey, it's a gal who could solve any murder mystery, mostly because she thinks like a serial killer. It's Katrina Porter.
Thank you for the compliment, Anna Serene.
You're welcome. Welcome to Split Happens, everyone else.
Welcome, everybody.
Each week, Katrina and I discuss a movie both of us love. However, only one of us gets to say anything good about the movie, and they are the pro of the episode, which means the other is the con and must attack it. Our one rule is the con only has to attack. Sorry, I need to take a drink. During the synopsis. And if they say anything at all good about the movie during that time, they incur a penalty and will have to give some love to a movie that they hate, which the pro gets to decide. So this week, if I, Anna, the pro, catch a rule break from Katrina, the con, you'll hear this sound.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
How exciting.
Says you.
Oh, it's definitely exciting for me. You don't look excited.
Oh, I don't? This is my excited face.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, maybe I'm going to hang this movie until it makes some sense. Or maybe I'm going to shoot it. Or hit it with a plumbing utensil. Or blind it with an ocular enhancement. Or stab it with a food finder. Or pound the shit out of it with a tire fixer. Maybe something like that. I'm just spitballing here.
Tire fixer. I feel like all of those things have other names.
What?
I don't know, like wrench. Tire fixer. Not even quite sure. Like a tire iron?
Or a lead pipe.
Oh, boy. That raises some more questions.
I'm very independent.
Have you changed a tire, Katrina Porter?
Yes, with a lead pipe.
Was it successful? Or did you just buy a new car? Fuck this.
It's still on the side of the road. It was a lead pipe with like 4 holes in it. You know, it was like this.
Yep, I am familiar.
Yeah,
That's a tire iron.
yeah, it was lead though.
Okay, if you say so. Well, gosh. A rope. I'm pretty sure a knife. Definitely a lead pipe. We went over that.
Ocular enhancement.
Ocular enhancement. Oh, candlestick? Oh, okay. All of those things. Wait, there was more. A revolver and...
Food finder.
Is that a knife? A knife? Huh. Was that all of them? And I think there might also be like an iron and a shoe and a dog and a car. Well, I can only think of one movie that would have all of those weapons. And that would be...
Commando.
Commando? No.
Rambo.
Well, I am thinking of 1985's Clue.
I have a clue. I'm screwed.
I'm excited. You're gonna get a button push because Tim Curry's in it.
I know.
Oh, he's so good.
He's great. He's great. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to feel really confident because I'm going to get through most of this movie. And then when he's at his most brilliant, which is at the end, and even though I have it in my notes at the end, it literally says, "Shut the fuck up, you twat."
Yeah, but you'll have worked your way through your margarita by that point.
I know.
And we're at the lake. So it's been a lot of drinking.
I know. I don't have to go anywhere.
This is great.
I don't have to drive.
This is great.
Got my dogs.
This is great. This is one of those movies that has a whole lot of trivia. And I watched numerous interviews and things like that. Quite a few. Do you want to hear a little bit before you have to get into your...
Okay. Can I make fun of you?
Oh, yeah.
Can I tell the people what you have going on right now?
Uh-oh. Yeah.
You have a... What is that called? It's not really a pitcher. What's it? It's a blender container.
We'll say a pitcher. Yeah. An easy to access carafe of punch that I made.
You just brought the whole damn thing in here.
Well, for whatever stupid reason, I chose a glass that is wee.
Yeah, you did.
It just needs to be refilled a whole bunch. It is delicious, though.
Your face says it is.
It definitely is. I think I've drank quite a lot of it so far. Here's what I'm going to do. I will just try and get through the very bare bones of this movie, about how it kind of came to be. And since Tim Curry does like a super fast, let's wrap this whole thing up at the end, I'm going to try to do that now. Okay. This movie started with producer Peter Guber, who approached British actor-writer Jonathan Lynn about writing the screenplay for a film adaptation of the board game Cluedo. Jonathan Lynn then met with producer Deborah Hill, who produced, wrote, or co-wrote a number of movies such as, but not limited to, the Halloween movies, Escape from New York, Escape from LA, The Fisher King, The Fog, Adventures in Babysitting, Big Top Pee-wee. She's done a whole bunch. And Jonathan Lynn also met with director John Landis, who directed a million movies such as, but not limited to, Animal House, Trading Places, Three Amigos, The Blues Brothers, Coming to America, and of course the music video for Michael Jackson's Thriller.
He didn't do American Werewolf in London?
He did. John Landis had been trying to get Clue written for several years and started with playwright Tom Stoppard, who at some point just sent a letter to John Landis telling him, "I give up," and returned the money he had been paid. Landis then asked Stephen Sondheim, who wrote Into the Woods, and Anthony Perkins, who of course played Norman Bates in Psycho. And they were very interested in writing the script, and they were also very interested in getting paid way more money than that was afforded. So Jonathan Lynn signed on as writer, but eventually took over as first-time director when John Landis had to back out in order to direct Spies Like Us after a few hiccups with casting, and we'll go over that later, and filmed with 3 separate endings, which the audience would not know which ending their theater would be showing, and audiences were super confused as fuck and upset by the alternative endings gimmick. The movie was critically panned, and it was considered a flop. However, once it was released on home video and on TV, with all 3 endings for people to see, the movie has gained a cult status and remains a favorite movie for many of the cast involved. So to make a long story short,
Too late.
that's basically how Clue came to be. The budget was $15 million. It grossed 14.6.
Oh no.
Didn't do great. It like I said, it gained once it went to home video and once it started being shown on TV, because there's no nudity. There's barely any blood. So there's no swearing, not really.
Mm-hmm.
So that made it very, very easy to put on TV. What's that look of consternation on your face?
Oh, nothing. I was being contemplative.
Oh, anything in particular, or just
I was contemplating there's one foxtrot in it at the very end. Why is the word fruit a gay slur? I don't understand.
I don't know. I mean, fruit is delightful to me. And
I know. I love fruit.
And yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I know light in the loafers is also a gay slur, and I don't understand where that came about as well.
I mean, I know I was glad that it was in here because I could have it as a con.
It's not an actual foxtrot though. It just says fruit.
I know, but it was a fa.
Okay, that's fair. It's a fa. I'll take that.
Mm-hmm. But if anybody knows where that comes from.
Oh, I'd be very interested to find out. Yes, please. Like I said, there's a bunch more. I've just peppered it throughout the synopsis. Do you have anything before we get... Oh, wait, I do know.
What?
Oh, okay, I hope this doesn't embarrass you.
Oh, no.
So yesterday, we were driving. We were going back to and there was a shitload of fire trucks.
Oh, we were on, we were on the major highway that brings us into the lake.
But it's actually in the city proper, or is...
Yes, it's Highway 54. It's the big highway that gets you through,
from here to there.
Yeah, through Wichita to where we're at.
Well, there was tons of fire trucks and ambulances and police vehicles, and I mean, everybody kept having to get over, like a bunch, like 4 fire trucks of some kind.
Right, and yes, an ambulance, and
you looked really concerned.
Well, yeah.
Right. And then we got up further to where all of the shenanigans seemed to be, and there was literally nothing there. The fire trucks were just chilling.
Right.
Like, there wasn't anything there before, and they were in a hurry to get there.
Right. It wasn't like they were there, we approached it, and it was, like, over. Like, they were still arriving as we were, like, getting to it.
Yeah. It was so incredibly strange.
Yeah. And
you said...
Oh, no. Oh.
You said... out loud, dang, I don't have my clue book.
Fuck. Okay.
Like, that is what's stopping you from solving this clear mystery.
Well, it was
very strange.
It was very strange.
Questions arose.
Because my thought was they were waiting for something.
Yeah, you had a look on your face like it was a conspiracy.
Yeah, I was like,
is this a false flag type of operation?
They think something's getting ready to happen.
You know what's funny is there was a plane that was overhead, and I could tell you had this look on your face like, oh, that's it. It's going to crash, but they were here for it. They messed up their timing.
Or do they think some, like, fucking coke is going to fall out or something? Like,
why so many vehicles? And they're just stopped.
Yeah. You know what? Nothing on the internet about it. What?
Did you look on the internet?
Of course I did.
Oh, good. Now that you have access to your clue book again.
What, you're not going to take notes?
Well, speaking of clue.
I love Madeline Kahn so much.
All right.
Play the fucking song.
Let the games begin.
Our movie begins.
No.
Oh. How do you know? I might be saying the exact thing that you
don't. The movie begins with some fake ass clouds. Doesn't look like cotton candy.
That wasn't in the $15 million budget. A whole $1 million of it went to the set.
What kind of bum can't get real clouds?
Can you summon clouds up on Will?
No, I can look up. And while we're on the topic, I don't think that's a real moon. It don't look like cheese. And I don't like wind either. That's a con.
Do you actually think the moon looks like cheese?
Yeah, kind of.
Any cheese in particular, or?
Yeah, tasty Swiss.
I have no idea how to combat that, so I'll just say we get an alphabetical order of names. I bet you loved that. And our movie actually begins with Tim Curry. So obviously this movie is perfect.
Those even real dogs?
Yes, those are real. Those were real.
Says you.
Real bitey dogs. Tim Curry is playing Wadsworth, the butler. Originally, Jonathan Lynn, the director/writer, had imagined Leonard Rossiter, who did like Oliver and different in the role, but they had been working together on a dark comedy called Loot in the West End of London at the time, and unfortunately he dropped dead in the middle of an act. So obviously he couldn't portray Wadsworth because he was dead. So then Jonathan Lynn tried to cast Rowan Atkinson.
Oh.
He had just done Blackadder. So he was really popular with the UK crowd, but the producers felt like the US crowd wouldn't know him at all because he hadn't done Mr. Bean. So Jonathan Lynn asked his good friend Tim Curry. They had gone to like primary school together. Like they've known each other for decades and decades. There's a recurring dog shit gag in this. That's fun.
Did he just leave poop on the front porch?
He's
no,
wiping
he
his
wipes
feet.
it on the front porch.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Nothing says welcome to our fancy home like dog shit on the front steps.
Was he supposed to like bring it inside?
No, you're supposed to wipe it on the very front entranceway so the first thing you smell when you're walking in is poop.
That's right. You know, the night is going to be exciting and unpredictable.
This is what I've been missing all these years with my parties. I forgot to smear dog shit on my front step.
That's right. I hope you learned something from this.
Hey, midsummer party.
Hey.
Jot that down.
Yeah, dog shit on stoop. Got it. Yvette, the maid, is shown, and she's played by Colleen Camp. And I guess quite a few people wanted that part. Julianne Moore auditioned. Madonna, Jennifer Jason Leigh was definitely the choice, but I don't think she wanted to do it. So then the manager that they share suggested her, and she just went like full out. Showed up to the audition like in full like maid's outfit and came in with like a French accent, and she basically just got the part then and there. Cook is played by Kelly Nakahara, and she's, unless you watch the show MASH, the TV show MASH, you probably wouldn't recognize her.
Hey, Anna.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about knife safety in the kitchen? How did you, just like in the context of this movie, how did you think that this person was doing about knife safety in the kitchen? I'll sit back. Because you're the expert, so would you please tell us?
Sure.
Okay.
I think she was being irresponsible, and she probably needs to get out of the private kitchens for a bit and go back into a professional, like, restaurant type setting so she can have a refresher course. But also, this was set in 1954, so knife safety might have been different then.
Well, you agreed with my con, which means if I say a pro later on, it cancels it out.
Nope,
That's
not
a
how
new
it works.
rule.
Not how that works at all.
Continue. Thank you for agreeing.
Guests start arriving at the Hill House Manor, and this is set in 1954, like I said, and they did that to coincide with the McCarthy hearings to help explain the political connections and blackmailing and communism. The first guest is Colonel Mustard. It's played by Martin Mull, and he had only been in a few things up until this point, so he was relatively new. Things that we've definitely, I mean, we saw Mary Hartman, and Fernwood Tonight, but I think by this point he had done Mr. Mom.
That's right. Oh my God. I was trying to figure out what the fuck he had been in.
Yeah.
He was awful in Mr. Mom. He was
Yeah.
terrible to Michael Keaton. That's a con for this movie.
You know, I haven't seen Mr. Mom in decades.
I watched it last year.
I can tell you, even not having seen it forever and ever, that they worked for Bumblebee Tuna. I remember that very clearly. He also did My Bodyguard by that point,
Oh.
which had the kid from Meatballs. It's like the only other thing he did. Next up is Mrs. White.
These names are silly.
Well, they had to coincide with the board game. In the board game, it was just weapons and colors, basically.
They didn't have to.
Having them use those names like as a pseudonym was kind of I mean, it was incredibly clever. It was their way to get the colors from the board game into an actual setting that made sense. It's like, these aren't their real names. These are pseudonyms given to them.
But she was wearing black.
But she was driving a white car. In fact, all of their cars coincide with their colors.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Yes, it does.
But they didn't name themselves. They were
No.
given those names.
That's just a coincidence. Maybe they got those because of the cars.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it does. Sure it does.
Says you.
Made perfect sense to me. Madeline Kahn plays Mrs. White. And if one bad word escapes your mouth about her, I will end this whole thing.
I have no notes
Okay.
about Mrs. White.
Oh, thank goodness. Originally, she was, Jonathan and Lynn had said that her part was kind of underwritten. There wasn't too much to her. But then once she had signed on, and she had already done Blazing Saddles at this point, then he like enthusiastically wrote more material for the character. I can talk a little bit about it later, but because this was Jonathan Lynn's first movie he'd ever directed, he was very meticulous about sticking with the script. He did not want ad-libbing. He did not want improvisation at all. It was like this movie required tons of choreography, and because they were able to shoot in the same location the entire time, for the most part, it was able to be filmed chronologically, which is very rare for a movie. They don't usually not usually able to do that. But I guess they were able to improv a few things here and there, but most, like 99% of the time, not, except for a very particular scene that comes at the end of the movie with Madeline Kahn.
Are any of these actors considered like comedians? Or like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So he didn't let them have any like creative license, even though they're funny people.
Well, once he saw Madeline Kahn was on, he's like, she's an amazing comedian. I've got to give her some a little bit of leeway.
But didn't you just say 4 minutes, 2 seconds ago that one thing he let her at the very end of the movie, her only?
No, I said very few things in this movie. Very
That's
few
not
things.
exactly what you said.
That's good. Yeah, it's close enough.
And no one else, even though that they're funny people?
There's a few things here and there. I actually will get to one of those things here pretty soon.
Quite sure you just said one person.
No, I didn't. I said like 99% of the movie. I said but there's a few things here and there, but one thing in particular was at the end.
I think you said one person.
I didn't say one person alone.
I don't think so.
I guess they were able to improv a few things here and there, but most, like 99% of the time, not, except for a very particular scene that comes at the end of the movie with Madeline Kahn. Very, very little was improv.
Okay.
It's actually kind of a testament to him because of how the dialogue is lightning fast. Next we see Mrs. Peacock, and she is played by Eileen Brennan. And Clue was one of her first projects after she had spent a 6-week stint at the Betty Ford Center for an addiction to painkillers. Following, she had like 2 years prior, she was having dinner with Goldie Hawn, probably because they were in Private Benjamin together. And she stepped out onto the curb and a car didn't see her and hit her. She had like both of her legs were smashed. She had a fragmented jaw, broken nose. Her eyeball was wrenched from its socket.
That's fucking terrible.
It is.
That's
And
terrible trivia.
Well, and it gets worse because the driver, I can't tell if he was actually drunk or not, but he tried to sue them for like negligence or whatever. I actually read the deposition and I couldn't get like a clear answer of, he must have just dropped it because he had like some mental instabilities and things like that he definitely did not want released. He wouldn't release his medical records. So it might have just gotten dropped. But he tried to sue the city. He tried to sue both Goldie Hawn and Eileen Brennan.
Wait, he didn't get in trouble?
No. She did walk out in the street. It's just it was not well lit at all. I don't know.
Holy
But, I mean,
shit.
I can tell you that at the time, the newspapers or whatever said that he was a drunk driver. So maybe he was upset about that, but he might have... Either way, she got fucked up really bad.
And then got addicted to painkillers.
And she got addicted to painkillers. Yeah. And then she immediately, like, checked herself into rehab. And she was... I mean, so that was great.
Dang.
Right.
Well, I'm not saying anything bad about her. I am saying that Mrs. Peacock is rudely staring at Yvette's tatas, and we learned in kindergarten that it's not nice to stare.
Were you staring at her tatas?
Of course, they're gigantic.
Yeah. Well, there you go. She can't help it.
Well, I'm here. Well, I'm not there.
You would have stared at them if you were there. You just done it subtly.
Of course I would have done it subtly.
She couldn't do it subtly. She had that eyeball come out of her socket.
Shit.
She's just doing her best.
You wear sunglasses, man, and try to, hide that shit.
In 1954?
Yes.
At an evening party?
Yes. I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the butler,
Yes. Wadsworth?
the only person impervious to the smell of crap? And if so, what kind of butler is that?
Well, it's on his feet. Because he's the one that stepped in the dog shit.
Yeah.
And I think he's embarrassed and he's just trying to, I mean, he's English. They don't want to make a big fuss. It's sometimes better just to not say anything at all. It's the English way.
Can he make some fuss?
Nope. He did. He made fuss when he was wiping his foot on the stoop.
Make pho and clean your shoes.
You foot off. After Mrs. Peacock, Mr. Green shows up, and it is the amazing Michael McKean. We love him so very much. Mm-hmm. He and his wife, Annette O'Toole, basically wrote all of the music for A Mighty Wind. Yeah. Anyway, he was cast after he was on Laverne and Shirley, and this is Spinal Tap, which we also love a whole lot. And he has some wonderful things to say about being in this. However, he also seems to be a bit of an unreliable storyteller because quite a few of his stories are often contradicted by the cast. And Colleen Camp especially said, quote, Michael has a wonderful imagination. But they all loved it. Everybody loved being in this movie. They said it was an absolute blast. Tim Curry had more than twice as much dialogue than anybody else. So he really had to put in tons and tons of work. But they just laughed so much. It was actually kind of a problem at one point because Tim Curry's like, look, I'm trying to I'm trying to memorize a fucking phone book of dialogue and you guys are cracking wise over there. But it's because it was just so funny. Next is Miss Scarlet, played by Leslie Ann Warren. Speaking of rehab, originally, this was supposed to be Carrie Fisher. Yeah. Jonathan Lynn actually said she was extremely funny. I had heard she had a bit of a drug problem. I just didn't see any sign of it. He goes, she did sniff a lot, but she said that it was just hay fever. And then a week before they started shooting, he got a call from her saying, so I've just gone into rehab and I'll be sleeping here, but I'll come out every day and shoot the movie. They'll just release me. Like they said that would be okay. I'll just stay at rehab and then I can come out and do that. And everyone's like, great. And then the insurance company was like, are you fucking kidding me? Absolutely not. No. So that's when Leslie Ann Warren came in.
I love Carrie Fisher, but
this would have been right after Jedi, where she was in that gold. So she had like a sex symbol status at that point.
But never, nothing.
And she could be really funny, but the character's really funny.
No.
Is that what you're going to say?
No.
What do you think about Leslie Ann Warren in this role?
I don't even know. Magenta, what did you say? I don't know.
Miss Scarlet.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's barely.
Already forgot.
Yeah. So many names. That's part of the problem. How many characters are there?
Okay, here's a con for you. You're welcome.
Like I need help?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I think so. The dress that she was wearing was insanely tight. And part of that is they insisted that she wear undergarments. Actually, all of them had to wear undergarments appropriate for the time. That was a bone corset. So it made sitting really difficult. They actually had, I think they're just called slant boards with like arm things that she'd be able to kind of lean against, which she said was comfortable. It's just that she wouldn't be able to sit often. And they did some maneuvering with the dress so that she would be able to do some sitting scenes or like when she had to run, because it would have been impossible. Very tight dress. She loved it.
Well, that sounds like torture.
She loved it. She is accompanied by Professor Plum, and it's Great Scott, Christopher Lloyd. And by this point, he had already been in Taxi and Mr. Mom with Martin Mull. And, he'd already been in his actual first movie he ever did, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Right. Can you believe that was his first fucking movie? Anything. He didn't do TV or movie, anything.
That movie's rough.
It is rough. Right. This one came out the same year as Back to the Future. Clue and Back to the Future both came out in 1985. So it was a good year for Christopher Lloyd, kind of.
I have a question.
Yes.
What if they don't like champagne?
Well, it looked like there was a lot of other drinks that were available.
No, they weren't even given an option. They were immediately handed champagne. What if they're allergic to bubbles? Bubblephobia.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Bubblephobia?
So they're scared of bubbles, not allergic to bubbles.
Well, they're one and the same. Because this is science. You can be so terrified of something that you actually develop an allergy.
Like what? Besides bubbles?
Soap.
Isn't that related to the bubbles, though?
It's a terrible journey.
Like, I really want to talk about it.
We're not talking about me.
You don't have a problem with soap? Oh my God.
Oh, can you imagine if I had a problem with soap? Oh
No.
my goodness.
Oh my God. How would you be able to wash your hands 800 times a day?
But I don't like champagne.
I don't like champagne either, but it's because I don't like the pop of the cork at all.
All I'm saying is, this is a beautiful mansion.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be fancy pants.
Yeah. So what's more fancy pants than champagne?
But couldn't they have been offered another option?
I mean, it was there. I think it's customary to offer champagne first.
They were offered champagne and they were offered brandy. And they were offered red wine.
They were offered what?
Red wine.
Well, this was 1954. There was literally only 3 drinks available. of the alcohol variety. Hey, it's dinner time. The guests quietly begin enjoying their meal.
No, they all eat their soup like Ty, and that is definitely a con.
Does he slurp? Is he a slurper?
God, are you kidding me? The first time Maddie sat at the table when Ty had soup, she was like, absolutely not. She's a child.
He's a slurper.
Yes, he is, and a slurper.
Maybe he learned that.
From Clue?
Around 1954, that's how soup was supposed to be eaten.
Listen, I don't need a Clue book to figure out that your rebuttal to everything I say is that this was 1954.
I'm the rebutler.
Shut up. You're ridiculous.
I rebuttal. It becomes clear pretty quickly all the guests are mildly acquainted because they're all government related in some way.
And completely unlikable.
Well, I mean, we're just getting to know them. You have to get to know people first. Mrs. Peacock is basically me and refuses to let the group eat in silence.
Someone's got to break the ice, and it might as well be me. I mean, I'm used to being a hostess. It's part of my husband's work, and it's always difficult when a group of new friends meet together for the first time to get acquainted. So I'm perfectly prepared to start the ball rolling. I mean, I have absolutely no idea what we're doing here, or what I'm doing here, or what this place is about, but I am determined to enjoy myself, and I'm very intrigued, and oh my, this soup's delicious, isn't it?
Yeah, but she's not you.
I mean, in that moment, she definitely is. I don't like that either. She also says the main course is one of her favorite recipes. Oh, ho, ho.
Can we get to the next part, please?
Professor Plum says he does know a little bit about, quote, psychological medicine. Yeah, I feel like you have something to say about that.
Where the fuck do I start? I guess my main comment is, it's not a fucking thing.
Not in 54?
Not never.
Oh.
There's never been something called psychological medicine.
I thought he was just being cutesy with the naming. Because he's not actually saying he's a psychiatrist or a psychologist or anything.
He does later on. He changes what he is about 17 times. And also to tell a stranger that she has pressured speech and some kind of diagnosis is grade A baloney.
Well, he lost his license. It sounds like he was just a shit doctor.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh. Did you happen to catch where he works?
What did they say?
The United Nations Organization, in the branch of World Health Organization. You know who?
Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
UNOWHO. Yeah, I thought it was adorable. Oh, go ahead.
Well, just when you think these awful people are not the rudest humans on earth, Mr. Body shows up and outdicks everyone.
Yeah, he really does.
And he also manhandles Yvette immediately.
Yeah, he says that they're familiar, and she didn't like it. And I, you know what? I'm allowed to say, as the pro, I'm allowed to say I didn't like it either.
Because it was disgusting. He's disgusting.
Yeah, we don't put our hands on other people.
No.
Only with consent. Consent matters, even in 1954. So I can say that. He does show up. He's played by legendary punk musician from the band Fear, Leaving. Get it? Leaving.
Leaving.
He is actually not who Jonathan Lynn wanted in the role, but the studio insisted on him. I'm not quite sure why. He has been in a few things we'd recognize, but one of Fear, his band, one of their songs, we definitely know, but not from them singing it.
Please tell me it's beef bologna.
We know it from the 1987 horror Summer Camp Nightmare. It's beef bologna.
She just wants a double dose. Beef, 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 beef bologna, beef bologna, beef.
That's trivia.
That's trivia.
Yes. Beef bologna.
She just wants a double dose. Don't watch Summer Camp Nightmare. It's trash.
No.
It is not good.
It's not good.
It's not good. That part's hilarious, though.
It's so funny.
They all adjourn to the study to learn about what the fuck is going on.
How many terrifying dogs are at this place?
Just two.
There's the two in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Though there can't be two because the two in the front are different than those other ones. They look different.
So this is a dog-friendly place. I thought you would like something like that.
They're terrifying.
You don't like dogs?
I love dogs.
So you just get to pick and choose which dogs you like, which ones you don't?
I don't like dogs that are going to eat my face off.
They just looked hungry.
Well, then why aren't those fucking dogs being fed? This is like, what's that guy from Game of Thrones? Ramsay? Yes, Bolton.
Oh,
Ramsay.
Ramsay Bolton?
Yeah. Ramsay, remember when Ramsay didn't feed his dogs? And then after in that Battle of the Bastards?
Yeah, he was a bad guy.
Yeah. And then Ramsay got eaten because Sansa was like, haha, motherfucker.
This is not that. It's not like he was keeping them from being fed for a long time. He just had, the butler had a lot to do. He got home in the evening, as a lot of dog owners do. They get home in the evening. Those dogs were ready to eat. He gave him like huge ass bones in the beginning.
They still look pretty hungry to me.
Well, they're fed enough to be shitting all over the place. So,
is this where we find out what everyone did?
Yes. Professor Plum lost his license for sleeping with a patient.
So the doctor of psychological medicine, air quotes, diddles his patients. Who would have guessed that from the guy who felt up the lady in distress by the side of her car?
Yeah, sounds like he is. It was right to have him lose his license. I'm so glad that they're showing that representation in media. Good.
They kind of make it a joke in this movie.
Not that he lost his license. They make it an embarrassment for him. That's why he's being blackmailed. Mrs. Peacock took bribes for her senator husband. Miss Scarlet runs an underground brothel. Colonel Mustard is a client of Miss Scarlet's and also a war profiteer. We hear about that later, but first he claims he got his money during the war when he lost his mommy and daddy.
The butler seems to be taking a lot of enjoyment out of outing all of their secrets.
We can put a pin in that. Mr. Green says he's a homosexual, which would have cost him his job because it's 1954. And Mrs. White is suspected in the death of her husband. Wadsworth tells them Mr. Body has been blackmailing them, and the police have already been called. Mr. Body is like, okay, sure, but how about we just kill Wadsworth and then no one's secrets have to come out? And then he gives them all boxes that contain the classic weapons from Clue, the ones you talked about earlier.
No. You're way too far. Yes, you are. First of all, wouldn't Wadsworth's time be better spent if he taught them a dance number? Mrs. Peacock, get your ass on stage.
Oh, God, for fuck's sake. Okay, he's not Terrence Mann, so you don't need to... Well, he's not Terrence Mann. It's a totally different movie entirely.
Says you. Did Mr. Body bitch slap Colonel Mustard?
Did he deserve it?
No. And all those packages couldn't have fit in that suitcase. You're not Mary Poppins.
It was a double-sided suitcase. It had like one of those cool sneaky zipper pocket things.
No, it wasn't. It looked like a basic ass suitcase. Those packages couldn't fit in there.
I know it looks that way, but that's how those briefcases were.
No.
And they were small boxes.
They were not.
He just is really good at Tetris.
No.
He was able to Tetris.
Movie mistake.
No, I don't think so. And I will say, the boxes, they looked lovely.
You know what they would have looked like in that suitcase? Smashed all the fuck.
No, because he carefully, like I said, was able to fit them like a puzzle in there. So they all remained nice and sturdy. They look like sturdy boxes. It'd have to be.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Mr. Body turns off the lights. And when the lights come back on, Mr. Body is seemingly dead on the floor. At least that's what Professor Plum says. Wadsworth tells them about Mr. Body, and I love what he says about his wife. He's like,
She had friends who were socialists.
Oh, my God.
Well, we all make mistakes.
But before that, did this bitch say these were lethal weapons?
mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out of here.
According to Cluedo, they would.
Okay. And did the doctor of psychological medicine...
Okay, you don't have to do air quotes every time.
Okay, did that give you training required to determine if someone is dead after checking their pulse for 4 seconds?
Well, he wasn't a very good doctor. It's like what Mrs. White said about her husband. It's like,
Your first husband also disappeared,
But that was his job. He was an illusionist.
but he never reappeared.
He wasn't a very good illusionist.
Follow-up question. Why are they being mean to the guy who said he was gay? That feels very pointed.
well, because it was 1954, and that was definitely something that was frowned upon then. not rightfully.
Follow-up comment.
Yes.
I don't like how they said socialist.
Well, it was 1954, and it was during the McCarthy hearings, and it was all pro-America. I didn't make the rules. I'm just telling you all of the things that happened in 1954. All of everything. That's everything that happened in 1954. You're welcome.
I know I want to be quiet and I want to take a drink because I really want to enjoy my next point.
Oh, go ahead. Okay. Well, they realize they're trying to figure out who killed Mr. Body, and they're like, oh, the only other person in the house is the cook. So they race to the kitchen, and she is unalived. She's unbreathing with a knife in the back. Can I get back to the study, or do you want to stay in the kitchen?
Anna?
Oh, no. Yes.
Hey, Anna.
Fuck. Yes?
You know,
Mm-hmm.
you are such an expert on so many things.
God damn it.
I have a question.
Oh, you goddamn bitch.
How do you feel about the flour sitting on the stove? Did you see it?
Yes.
Anna, in this scene, when they walked in the kitchen, the stove was to the left. The stove was to the left.
Yeah.
There was a huge thing of flour was sitting on the stove. Anna, the flour was on the stove.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that where? Here's my question. Does flour go on the stove?
Do you want an answer?
Yes.
Flour does not go on the stove.
Why?
Well, because flour should be kept in a cool, dark place. That is the appropriate place for it. Flour goes rancid very quickly. It doesn't matter. That wasn't actually flour sitting up there.
What was that?
It was a flour container, one of those like kitschy things that people like to put in their kitchens. It was a live, laugh, love container. It was ornamental, like how a lot of people do, how they get like, like chickens and shit for decorations.
This industrial kitchen had something ornamental in it.
It was industrial, but where was it located? In a restaurant or house?
There was literally nothing decorative in this kitchen at all.
Yes, there was.
What?
The flour container.
No.
She was only allowed one thing, and it had to be food related. And she's like, I'm going to use this flour container because I like it. It's lovely, and it feng shuis.
Well, I have solved the crime.
What?
Everyone died from rancid fucking flour that was sitting on the stove.
No, the flour was in a bin when they get back to the study, because I don't want to talk about it anymore. Mr. Body's body is gone, but Mrs. Peacock stumbles upon Mr. Body's actual dead body. And Wadsworth locks up all the weapons, and a motorist shows up needing to use the phone. I love when Colonel Mustard pours whiskey for everyone. He just kind of randomly pours all over the place. This is just going fuck all.
Did that idiot just say that's what we call a psychotic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is the point of putting the corpses on the sofa?
Because he said it, because he likes to keep things tidy. He's the butler.
Yes, let's move everyone and completely destroy the crime scene. Where's my clue book?
You didn't bring your clue book?
Whoa. Yeah, he wants to keep things tidy.
Mm-hmm.
There's flour on the stove. He has dog shit on his shoes. I'm not buying it, Anna.
There's not actual flour in there, though. It's just the container.
Dog shit on his shoes.
He changed his shoes when he got inside.
Fumble Fingers is over here pouring whiskey all over the fucking place.
Yeah, I bet he didn't like that at all. He knew he'd have to clean up after that later, but you can't. He's paid to be there as the butler. He is, actually, we learn he and his wife, his formerly alive wife, were basically slaves to Mr. Body because they're...
Don't get me started with that slave comment.
Well, they are being forced to work for free. That sounds slavish.
This movie should be called Bumbling Idiots and How They All Try to Outstupid Each Other with Semi-Lethal Props.
That would have taken up so much room on a marquee. This movie's dialogue is so quick and wonderful, and I love it very, very, very much. It's more of that, snip-snappity dialogue
Snip.
we're talking about. They decide to split up into pairs to search the house and find the killer, and it's so fantastic.
How do they decide that?
With matches. They cut up matches.
Am I supposed to believe that the gay man did not want to go upstairs with the big titty lady and maybe check out the closets and the jewelry? This is the biggest flaw of the movie so far.
Maybe he had a crush on one of the other guests and he wanted to.
Who? Professor Plum or Colonel Mustard? I don't think so.
Maybe it was Tim Curry. Maybe he was super into Tim Curry.
Yeah, his thing is dog shit.
I don't know. Love is love. People are attracted to all kinds of weird shit. He didn't say that he wasn't being blackmailed for that, so I don't have any frame of reference.
Listen, you know what I'm getting ready to say is true. Absolutely fucking not would be my answer when someone suggested I search the house with a would-be killer.
What would you do?
I would grab the pool stick,
Yeah.
I would grab a bottle of wine,
Yeah.
and if the lights went out, I'd just start swinging that thing all over the place.
During the breaks and stuff, they would often play pool together. And it was just one way that the crew, the cast, was able to kind of, get to know each other and meld, except for Leslie Ann Warren, because she couldn't because of that dress.
Make this make sense to me.
Michael McKean even said that Eileen Brennan was like the best cheerleader ever. She would cheer for anybody who was taking a shot.
You can't make the flower make sense, and that's okay. That's not your fault. But make the searching the house with the would-be killer make sense to me. Why search the house?
Because they gotta find the person.
And do what?
Well, they used a buddy system.
But do what?
Detain him.
Well, these aren't professionals. These are all idiots.
Sure, but they're not smart enough to realize that they should just be sit and put. But they're not super bright, as you said. They were curious. You know what it is?
They're cats.
As my friends call me, Whiskers. It was Colonel Mustard suggested that they split up.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So Colonel Mustard, they didn't go into this in the part that they actually kept in the movie because there was so much going on. But he's one of those people that is super, super nosy and really wants to explore people's houses. You know what I'm talking about. I can see by your face you might be one of them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But there are definitely those people who want to just rummage through other people's shit because they're curious little kitty cats. And he was one of them. And he's like, this is perfect. If we say split up, I can go explore and see all of their shit they got hidden in the attic and in the basement or whatever. And I have an excuse.
They have a library. They've already been in the library. They've been in the coolest room in the house. Where else do they need to go?
Well, there's all kinds of secret passageways and stuff. That's fucking rad.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, it's neat.
Okay, so it doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thank
you for making my point.
An unsuspecting cop shows up because of the motorist dipshit I was talking about earlier. And speaking of whom, he gets killed. The motorist, that is.
But the bright idea that the think tank came up with was to lock the cop in the room?
Well, that's just Wadsworth. He's in control of the key. He's not thinking clearly. He's under a lot of stress. Not only is he dealing with a murderer and, all of this type of thing and these difficult personalities, and you know that they are a bunch of difficult personalities all grouped together, but he's also trying to throw a party. And everybody knows, especially you, how stressful that can be. And he's trying to keep things clean, and people are just,
You need to stop with that keeping stuff clean shit. He's been walking around with dog shit on his feet for 4 hours.
Perfect.
Even though the cops were going to show up 45 minutes ago, 4 hours later.
I told you, he changed his shoes.
Not never he did. Are my eyes deceiving me, or are they making out with the corpses?
Oh, not yet.
Oh.
I did mention this a little bit earlier about them, about like how like every time you see them like running around, it is heavily choreographed. Jonathan Lynn was very particular about, how this was being shot, again, because he was nervous. But because he was so new at it, he didn't want to take any chances. And also the budget was teeny tiny, so staying on schedule was extremely important. And there's a scene where the chandelier breaks and falls right behind Colonel Mustard. And Jonathan Lynn says it still bothers him that he dropped it so far away from Martin Mull because he feels like it should have been closer. But he dropped it that far out of an abundance of caution because John Landis was the executive producer on this, and he had just had the infamous helicopter accident on the set of Twilight Zone, the movie. Right. Where Vic Morrow and 2 kids died. And Jonathan Lynn didn't want to risk another set accident for John Landis. And Landis didn't even know about this until years later. In an interview, they told him, and he was very touched by that. I like it when the cop shows up at the door, and Miss Scarlet pulls me, of course, with the group, and he's like, if we don't answer, maybe they'll just go away. Just pretend like you're not even here. And I feel that in my bones.
No one's home.
Just start shutting off lights. At one point, because the cop is snooping around, they're trying to fake out the cop by weekend at Bernieing the corpses and making out with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's really objectifying, but god damn, Colleen Camp has some big titties.
It's disgusting.
Her boobies?
No, the making out with the corpses is.
I was gonna say, Jesus Christ.
No, she's gorgeous. That's not. I can say that about her.
She was. Of course, I got it.
I can say that about her.
About Colleen Camp?
I can say that about Colleen Camp. I can say that about Colleen Camp. On it, as we've established.
Okay. So Colleen Camp is gorgeous.
Yes.
You're upset because they were weekend at Bernieing the corpses?
No.
Oh.
If they had been weekend at Bernieing the corpses, they would have been like, da 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 da. No, they're sucking the corpses' faces.
Not sucking them. Just kind of like, mwah.
Yeah, they were kissing. It was on the mouth.
Mrs. White was, but she's very familiar with dead bodies. She did have 5 husbands of her own.
Not cool. No respect for the dead. No, these people have no respect.
They do not. But Colonel Mustard had recently been through a war. And, death affects people in weird ways. Grief affects people in different ways. Haven't you said that a number of times?
When it's appropriate, I say that.
How are they not grieving?
What are they grieving?
These people that are dead. And that they might be, and they're scared. They're terrified because they might be next. They don't know.
These people are the most self-serving assholes next to Mr. Body.
So self-serving assholes are not allowed to feel fear?
Self-serving assholes don't feel fear.
Well, sure they do.
Assholes very rarely get depressed. They don't have anxiety because they're assholes.
Well, these assholes are special. These are special assholes.
This is like Spaceballs.
Yeah.
He's an asshole, sir.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yeah, these are self-involved assholes, but they're sensitive assholes.
Okay, well now the lights are out, and this is why you stay the fuck where you're at.
Yeah, I would not move further, but I don't like the dark. I don't like being in the dark.
Yeah.
Because I feel like somebody's going to pop a balloon behind me.
Or a Jack in the Box?
Nobody wants to play with Larry in the box. As they're searching the house, someone kills the lights, as you said, and then a vet is killed. And then the cop is killed.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a singing telegram.
Nope, before we have a singing telegram, we have a fucking Jack in the Box.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Well, I do. It's the most egregious thing in the whole movie.
This place is very odd. This Hill House Manor is a very strange place.
And these callous assholes are completely unfazed by the loss of life. They're like, oh, the vet's dead. Oh, the cop's dead. They're just kind of walking around.
They are emotionally exhausted.
They are emotionally vapid.
You know why they're so nonplussed by all of this?
Xanax.
They're shocked. They're in shock because they just saw that the singing telegram girl was Jane Wheeldon from super, super popular 80s band, the Go-Go's. And they were starstruck.
Oh, they were like, oh my God, if We Got the Beat gets in my head, I'm going to be so fucking pissed.
Do you remember her in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yes.
It's Joan of Arc. Oh, I love it when she's doing the exercise class.
I love that as well.
She's great.
She is great in that.
She's great in this. She's in it for 5 seconds and she's extremely memorable.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. I am your singing telegram.
I remember in Bill and Ted.
And she's gorgeous.
Wait, don't say anything about Tim Curry, you twat. Okay.
And now for the best goddamn part of the movie. And I have questions for Katrina. And this is why Tim Curry should have gotten an Oscar nomination for this role. It's the I know who the killer is, and I'm going to show you just how it was done moment. And the sheer amount of dialogue and the quickness of it and the choreography of running back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it's just so incredibly impressive. To me, to you, to the people, definitely to the cast. I love when he's doing the going through all of things. He goes,
I was in the hall. I know because I was there.
This replay gives me so much anxiety.
well, it was a very anxiety-provoking evening. There have been 6 deaths in the house.
Why doesn't the person who did the killing just kill Wadsworth before he has a chance to finish telling what happened?
Because they think they can still get away with it. They think it's still going to be a murder mystery.
May I make one more point before you get started?
Yeah.
Just to be clear. Professor Plum didn't have an affair with his patient. He took advantage of a vulnerable human.
I wasn't there.
Big difference. Huge.
I wasn't there.
Okay, continue. I have nothing else to say. Not a peep.
Are you sure?
Not a fucking word.
Well, you'll be able to answer some questions I have for you, though.
No. I'm sitting on my mouth.
Do you happen to notice that he doesn't stumble even once? And I love Madeline Kahn is every once in a while she'll just do something that's so absolutely bizarre, and then they kept it in.
Didn't mean to frighten you. You're a bit late for that. Hate when he does that.
Oh, I love it. This is the part actually that confused so many people, the movie theater goers, because we see 3 different endings. And like I said, the movie theaters at the time, they all got the different endings. You either just got one. So like one theater would get Miss Scarlet doing it, but they thought people were going to go multiple times so they can see the different endings. That's not the case. They did not understand it. And it was clear. They all thought it was a clever idea. They don't understand why it wasn't more popular in the cast. The first killer that he unmasks is Miss Scarlet. That's when you get the argument between Wadsworth and Miss Scarlet about how many bullets were left in the gun.
There was 1 shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
There was only 1 shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, not 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay, fine. 1 plus 2 plus 1. Shut up!
He maths like we do.
I hate math. That's a con.
Yeah, but you can identify with Wadsworth.
No, he seems like a know-it-all.
Does he? Does he know it all?
No, he seems like an insufferable know-it-all.
Well, so am I.
No, you kind of know it all.
Oh, thanks.
Except for about that flower.
No, the flower container. It was lovely. I really love as he's going through the different things because it really looks exhausting. And he was, like I said, the sheer amount of dialogue. If I could put in that entire clip, I wish I could. What did you think about this scene?
I was so tired by the end of it. I don't really remember.
Well, the next murder scenario has Mrs. Peacock as the murderer. Which is fun, because that's when Wadsworth tells the group what they ate at dinner. He says, and monkey brains, although popular in Cantonese cuisine, is not popular in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they had monkey brains, and they didn't even get dessert. That must have really pissed you off.
Twice. He offered fruit or dessert.
No, did they get it? No, Mr. Body fucked things up, and they didn't get it.
No, he offers fruit or dessert at the very end, after Mrs. Peacock gets arrested.
They're traumatized at that point. They couldn't eat anything.
If you're traumatized, you wouldn't eat a brownie?
No. God, no. My stomach.
You sure about that? Well, I can eat sugar always. Even in the face of deaths. I didn't die.
I'm saying at dinner time they weren't offered dessert. That's not a full-course meal.
He sure did. He offered fruit and dessert when they were at the dining room table. And then he offered fruit and dessert at the end with Mrs. Peacock.
I don't think so.
He sure did. May I offer you anyone any fruit or dessert?
I don't think that happened.
He sure did. Twice. That's how you can remember it. Because it happened twice.
Mm-mm.
Not thrice.
Nunce.
Twice. Which is nice.
Nunce.
I really like the Meet Mrs. Peacock one because Wadsworth gets them all singing She's a Jolly Good Fellow. And of fucking course, Madeline Kahn just can't help herself but do the harmonies. She treats it like it's a round. I love her so much. God damn, she's funny. She was. Oh, well, yeah, I've said it multiple times in this podcast. She's who my daughter's named after.
Yes.
Yeah, Madeline Kahn, Madeline Kate. But we get our last murder scenario. Here's what really happened. And it's most people's favorite version, including Katrina, including me. Where everyone is the killer except for Mr. Green, who is an undercover FBI. And my favorite murder is also the same as everyone's. It's Mrs. White killing Yvette. And this is when I was saying that Jonathan Lynn let her improvise. He said, it lasts only 20 seconds, confronted with her hatred of Yvette for sleeping with her husband. And she says, well, all that was written in the script was, I hated her so much that I wanted to kill her. But, Michael McKean said she just kind of went into a fugue state. She did it 3 or 4 times. And each time was funnier than the last. They could not stop laughing. She was so funny.
I hated her so much. It flames on the side of my face, breathing, heaving breaths, heaving.
I hated her so much. I want you to tell me what you think about that scene.
Well, I think, she sounds kind of like a showboat.
Who, Mrs. White?
Yeah.
Mrs. White sounds like a showboat?
It sounds like she was really trying to upstage all the other actors, and this is an ensemble.
It sounds like the other actors could barely hold their shit together because she was so goddamn funny.
Were they crying because they'd been upstaged?
No. Crying tears of laughter. Laughter tears. Little ha-ha tears running down their faces. Even Tim Curry. Oh, actually, Tim Curry has stated, you can see an interview with him. They asked him, about his favorite movies, and he said Clue. Yeah, he really loved doing Clue. And then he immediately followed it up with Flames. Flames. Said that she just had them all in stitches. We also find out in this version of the murder, unless you want to talk more about the Madeline Kahn part.
No, I do have a real criticism, though.
Oh, okay, go for it.
When talking about the people who actually didn't kill anyone, Wadsworth missed a real opportunity to say they were innocent.
Is it because that's a completely different fucking movie?
What are you talking about?
It wouldn't have made sense unless he had like a giant, horns growing out of his head and red paint. So he did an artistic choice.
Missed opportunity.
And it's not missed opportunity. It's an artistic choice. And it was the correct one.
I don't think so.
And everybody except for Mr. Green did kill somebody. Except he did kill somebody at the end.
So why didn't he say Mr. Green was
innocence?
Because he just hadn't gotten to that point yet. But we actually find out in this version that Wadsworth is actually Mr. Body. Which is really neat. It makes more sense. It definitely does make more sense. The last line of the movie is Mr. Green's. And he says, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife. And, yeah.
Wait, no. I have another question. How do all these people know where all the secret passages are in this house that they've allegedly never been to?
I was really hoping you weren't going to ask me that.
Yeah.
But he did explain that in one of the versions that Yvette told Miss Scarlet where it was. And then they just discovered them while they were searching the house.
I don't think so. As we've established many, many, many times, these people are idiots.
Yeah, they stumbled upon those passages a bunch of times. They stumbled upon all of them.
And we have a fa.
We do have a fa.
Mr. Green is called
a fruit.
Yes.
Yes.
And as we've established at the beginning of this podcast, I don't understand why that's a gay slur.
I don't either. I guess we probably should have Googled it beforehand, but we didn't.
Yes, but I'm just going to go on the record and say I love fruit.
I love fruit quite a lot. Blackberries all the way.
And I love gay people.
Hey. I like gay as well. Hey. I don't know. I've lost it.
You're spiraling.
I'm spiraling. Michael McKean, Mr. Green says, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife. Michael McKean claims that this was his idea to say that. Jonathan Lynn, however, checked, and it was in the script, but in a classic British fashion, he's like, it's possible that maybe he said it in a rehearsal, and then we added it to the script after the fact. But Michael McKean sounds like he does have a bit of a tendency to... at one point he said that Tim Curry was using a skateboard to glide back and forth. And at least one of them was like, absolutely not. That definitely did not happen. I would have remembered him skateboarding.
Did Michael McKean do a lot of coke or something?
They were all doing coke. According to Jonathan Lynn, he goes, I didn't realize that all of Hollywood was on coke.
That's Kahn.
Blame 1985... blame 1985 Hollywood.
I thought everything was about 1954.
Well, this was made in 1985. Well, hey, Katrina.
What?
To make a long story short.
Too late.
That's the end of the movie.
It's done. Yes. It's over now.
I didn't get a button push.
God damn it. No, you didn't.
I didn't have any more of your devil punch because I knew if I had more of your devil punch, I was going to get a button push.
It's delicious devil punch. I'm very annoyed.
Yes. I have so many mean things to myself in my notes.
You had to abuse yourself?
Yes.
Like, don't say anything, you dumb bitch.
Yeah.
Like,
don't say shit about flames.
Yeah. Flames.
One of my favorite parts of this movie.
Oh my God. It's everybody's favorite part.
We say it all the time to each other.
We've said it multiple times in the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. It sounds like it was the delight to make for everybody.
The movie.
Yes. They all still clearly love it. I love it. We love it. I mean, I guess I can understand why audiences were confused, or they would want, maybe they might not have known. People might need to remember life before the internet.
I don't understand why people were confused by this movie, quite frankly.
I don't either. I mean,
and I'm kind of a dumbass sometimes.
It's not terrible there's a lot of like innuendos type things, but it's very, very fast. You got to kind of know what they're talking about. And there isn't any nudity or swearing or whatever that would normally garner a higher rating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we were able to watch it a lot on TV.
My biggest criticism in the context of the podcast is I typically have about two more pages of notes than I have. It was very hard to take notes.
Oh, I will tell you, I mean, I didn't want to put it in here, but going back and watching, especially if you know what's going to happen, like they didn't know exactly who was going to be the killer until like up to a certain point. Mm-hmm. The actors didn't. Several of the cast members are no longer with us. Oh, that's really sad. And actually, maybe it's just two. Madeline Kahn, of course, and then Eileen Brennan. But she is so incredibly good, especially if you know that she was really struggling in a lot of pain. They said it. Christopher Lloyd was like, I just can't imagine that type of strength. She was clearly in pain, and she, got through it every single time. I mean, she just was an absolute trooper. We are going to do Private Benjamin at some point, I believe.
Not in 2023.
No, not in 2023. And obviously Madeline Kahn was brilliant.
We are going to do one of our Christmas movies, which I cannot wait to do. We're going to do Mixed Nuts.
Oh, yes. Speaking of Madeline Kahn.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Which is probably a Christmas movie that a lot of people haven't seen, which is crazy to me because it has Steve Martin, it has Rita Wilson, it has Liev Schreiber, it has Adam Sandler, it has Madeline Kahn.
Young Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it has
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis. What's the guy's name? We always forget his name.
From Empire Records?
Anthony.
Yes, it's.
Oh, I feel terrible that we forget his name.
Oh, I know. I'm not 100% sure I can pronounce his last name.
What's the guy, Madeline Kahn's guy's name?
Oh, that's Robert Klein.
Robert Klein.
Sometimes I feel a little bit bad whenever we cover a movie that I know our listeners are going to have to go back and watch, and things like He-Man and She-Ra. Or,
Slapshot. We had people.
I would have said the pirate movie, but fuck's sake, it's like our second most popular download.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fascinated with it.
Boggles the mind.
But Mixed Nuts is not one of those. I can't wait for people to see it that haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That one's going to be good.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what our next movie's going to be.
We are releasing Batman. The original, the OG to us, Batman with Michael Keaton. The timing of it, we're kind of doing it to coincide with the new Flash movie, which we're kind of... But fucking Michael Keaton's going to be in it as Batman.
That is literally the only way I'm excited about it, because I
Right.
think Ezra Miller is kind of trash.
I know. But Michael Keaton's going to be in it as Batman.
God, I just can't even fucking contain myself.
I know that in combination with the news about Beetlejuice 2, it's like, what have we done to deserve this?
I don't know, but I'm loving this karma for us.
Right?
For sure.
And Twister 2?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were fucking with me for a second there, but no, I remember now. I remember now.
God, talk about embarrassment of riches.
Yeah.
I think he's my favorite Bruce Wayne.
He's just great.
But-
I really liked Vicky Vale as the heroine. I gotta get all this out now because Batman is Katrina's.
I'm the pro.
Oh gosh, I don't even know how many times I listened to that soundtrack. Oh, am I gonna get a button push if I talk about the soundtrack?
Yeah, it's specifically about the movie.
Fuck
You
me.
ding dong.
Oh no.
Yeah. I think I know we're doing The Dark Knight also at some point.
Mm-hmm. I guess we can say you've got back-to-backs. We're staying in the 80s for a little bit.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah. So we've got, of course, we had Clue, then Batman's next. And then what? Just, give the people a gift. Tell them what you're going to be doing after that.
Toot, toot.
Would you look at that ass eyes?
We're doing Major Pain, guys.
Yep. So Katrina you get to do a bang bang.
Oh, so excited.
Well, I can't wait to record those. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to go drink some Satan's asshole punch. Isn't that what you called it?
I don't know, but I'm not.
I am. I'm going to make you do it. All right. Until then, goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Katrina Porter.
Bye on the street.